Forcing the issue on Mike. He's inside the bait, and that's going to be 5 in a row. How about 6? The fed
There's 2, there's 3.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The last day of qualifiers before the OpTic Texas Major, and this matchup right here is going to be a banger. Before we went to that break, aLLeY tried to poke some fun at me. So, do your best Valley impression and introduce
No,
us to
I am weird. I'm just going to say Boston like a normal human being. No, stop.
Yes, now, the Boston Breach will face off against OpTic Texas, 2 teams that have made waves so far this season. And, Nameless, I'm really excited, but Boston, what they've been doing so far, flying under the radar, being highly successful and explosive at the same time. I mean, we all didn't expect this, but like the London Royal Ravens, they're in the mix.
Yeah, they're in the mix. What we saw to them was fantastic search play throughout most of the Major 1 qualifiers, but in that last match, they lost 2 of them to the New York Subliners, which is just simply unacceptable. These guys, they have to be an excellent search team. We've yet to see them play Desert Siege. It seems to be their auto veto, so I'd like to see them mix that in before the Major.
Okay.
But like I said, in this series, they just have to win 1 map to land a spot in winners, is what we were told. So they got to get one of them, Belly. I don't anticipate them winning this, but they got to get a map.
Yes, now when it comes to the game field keys of victory, what does Boston have to do?
Well, they got to bounce back from 2 SnD losses yesterday. They're still #1 in round win percentage, which is actually mind-blowing. They lost those SnDs fairly close yesterday. It was 6-5 in the first one, 6-4 in the game 5. They were really close. They just need to close them out. And smooth sailing if you win rotations. OpTic is 12th in hardpoint break percentage, and Boston actually was struggling with their rotations yesterday, so hopefully coming in today they tighten those up and get the edge versus OpTic Texas when it comes to hardpoint. And they need more slaying from Nero. He was the only player negative in the loss yesterday, 0.89 KD on the season. That's going to be a man for this squad, so hopefully we see him step it up today.
You know, they're going to have to step it up because all of these players, they've been phenomenal, and them going into this Major strong with a little bit of fire behind them is the Boston Breach that we would love to see, right? Big Cap doing his thing. TJ's warming up, but TJ has been a topic of discussion because of just his past and what he's currently bringing to the table. The man's been going off.
He has. He's been consistently a really top slayer for this squad, which I feel like was surprising for everybody across the board. And also Methodz as well. Yesterday made a lot of clutch moments where it really kept Boston Breach in the series against OpTic Texas. And the hardpoints, they weren't even close. They smoked them out. It was really the control and the SnDs where they struggled. So going into today, I'm hoping to see the Boston Breach we expected to in the series yesterday.
Yes, now the team they're going to be facing off against is OpTic Texas. Now, hey, for those of you at home, trust us here on the desk. If we make a prediction against them, the fans are going to let you know this team is the best. They're never going to lose, yada, yada, yada. I had my boy Diesel even tweet at me. But the thing is with this team, yeah, they had a rough start to the year, but they're picking things up slowly but surely now. Shotzzy popping off before. iLLeY stepped up in a big way, and you love seeing that.
Yeah, I love seeing it. He's been the player for me that's been the X factor. He's been playing so well. OpTic Texas in that last series, they answered a lot of our questions when it came to search and destroy and also control. It's been great, honestly. That's the guy that we need to see step up, and it's made Shotzzy play better. We've seen Scump step up in the search and destroys as well. So OpTic Texas looking really scary now going into the Major.
Yeah, and going into this Major, this is what they're going to have the home team advantage. You know what I'm saying? All the green wall are going to be there. We saw it at the Kickoff Classic, but when it comes to the game field keys of victory, OpTic has to go big because going into their own event, they want all the momentum on their side.
Yeah, you know, landing a spot in winner's bracket, obviously that's huge. But for the game field keys of victory, X Factor iLLeY. You know, we talk about it, 7-0 maps where he goes positive. So clearly there's a correlation there. And then have to win first bloods versus an elite SnD team. OpTic is last in first blood win percentage. So they know exactly what they need to do. It's just slowing down and getting that first blood. And if you don't, obviously it's not working. So moving on to the next one, continue to find success winning rotations. Now, they don't have a great break percentage, but they're second in rotation win percentage and hold percentage. As long as they rotate and set up, they're doing well on the hills, right? So try not to get in a situation where you have to continuously break.
Yeah, and those stats are really interesting. Shout out to Carson once again. Basically, let's call it the hoop factor, where whenever he went positive, the team won, and we saw an example of that yesterday. And seeing that right now, OpTic, they're going to have to strike fast, they're going to have to strike hard, and they're going to have to be super good to beat Boston. They're not an easy team to play against.
No, not at all. And I really think it's going to come down to the hard points and controls when it comes to this OpTic Texas team. They're going to have to continue the rotational investment that they have been putting into these series.
Yes.
Once again, they are 12th in breaking percentage, so they have to continue those early rotational gunfights, as well as surprising opening offensive wins in control. We saw it yesterday on Tuscan when they take B points immediately, and that's what really gave them the edge in that series. So we need to see that again today.
Yes, now it's time for pick'ems. Nameless, Boston or OpTic, who's going to wear green better today?
I think OpTic Texas are going to take it. Honestly.
Okay.
I didn't like what I saw at Boston in that New York series. I think OpTic takes this one.
No. aLLeY, how you feeling?
This is probably the hardest pick
What is your
I've
heart
ever.
telling you?
I think Boston's going to breach the green wall.
Okay, there you have it. Boston's going to breach the green wall. So we have OpTic Texas with Nameless. We have Boston breach with you. I'm going to be honest. This is a coin flip matchup. I like both of these teams a lot. OpTic looked phenomenal last time we saw them on screen. Boston, not so phenomenal last time we saw them on screen. But the entirety of the year, they've been great. Me, I'm going 3-2 on the side of Boston, only because we've seen more from them. And OpTic, they're phenomenal. Oh, a little flip coming in from aLLeY. Let's get it. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to toss this over to the commentators. It's going to be the battle of the green, man. It's going to be a fun one. Lando and Steady, how you doing today?
Oh, we're doing great, Vel. It seems like you guys are doing quite well also. Are you feeling okay? Both going for Boston?
Lando, I didn't want to say it, but these guys got to be.
I love chaos, man. I'm going to look at Twitter and have like 50 notifications.
I'm going to remember this. I'll
They have
remember
to be
this.
twisted.
We'll revisit this. Listen, we'll revisit this at the end of the series, and we'll see where all the chips end up laying out. We've had that happen a few times, but who knows what'll happen in this one. I mean, what, Jay? It's the final day of our Major 1 qualifiers. To be honest, anything has the ability to happen. If you're an OpTic fan, you're sleeping well at night. You're going to be in the winner's bracket at your own major, but Boston, they've got to win one map. Buddy, do you think it could be this one?
I think it definitely can be this one, because on the side of OpTic, they've only had the chance to play this once, and it was at the kickoff. They ended up losing that match to the LA Thieves, 250 to like 217. It was really close, and one player that really struggled was Scump. He sat at like a 16-25 stat line, didn't have a hot start to this game. So now that OpTic are coming into a Gavutu hardpoint off the rip, I'm looking at Scump to be that player with the AR in his hands to really step up. They have to make sure that their rotation's on point, because like the Death said, they're last when it comes to breaking into hardpoints.
Yeah, without question, my friend, OpTic have already sealed their fate, and we'll go ahead and leave that pun for later. Often into the hill we go. Big hill off the rip here on Gavutu, and it is the breach controlling things quite nicely, as Capsidal will be sent flying over towards the beaches. Meanwhile, it's Nero on the flank. How about this start for breach? Constantly slaying out, as now they'll finally capture the hill once more.
This has been a great break off to start this game for Boston. Uncontested for the time being until one player from OpTic, which is going to be Dashy, trying to finesse his way around. 15 seconds left. You have to start thinking about that rotation. Dashy trying to do everything he can to stay alive, but unfortunately he does get traded. But now this is where that rotation gunfights are going to come in. Number 8, which is going to be Scump, is going to be here first.
Yeah, Scump looking to try and change up the KD on Gavutu. Hardpoint, as you said, partner, did not have a great performance versus the Thieves whenever they played this map. We'll see if he can look to try to turn things around. Off to an 0-3 beginning, but at least for him, it's his good old duo. Shotzzy off to a 3 streak, as OpTic Texas have reclaimed control back over toward both. They get the 3-for-1 trade, and now they have got time inside of P2 for the moment. Breach looking for their opportunity, looking for their chance to seize the moment, as TJ will be the first one to break on in. Trade still fresh and out there. OpTic will reclaim the advantage as iLLeY now enters into 5 in a row.
So far, OpTic, they've been in control of this game when they were able to contest a good chunk of time towards that P1 and basically dominate this P2 hardpoint, forcing all of Boston to continuously spawn towards the back hill. But with Boston picking up that 2-piece in the feed, they're able to flip these spawns. Now spawn back red tower. Scump has to try to go big on the backside to flip these spawns.
It was a great play originally, right from Capsidal, to sort of push through Beach just to ensure that the breach will have the advantageous spot off the rip. But it's iLLeY who's there to take him down, sitting on 6 in a row. He finally drops, but that is a good sign, Jay. If you're an OpTic Texas fan, Ant called iLLeY the X factor for this team. The way that he is beaming off the start of this map, it's got to be a sign of good things to come.
Sheesh, especially when they're starting off like that. That's going to be another 4 dead. Now this is going to force Boston to Start thinking about that rotation because this hill is not going to be easy to break in. 30 seconds left. Methodz does connect with that nade. Nero does fine too. So now with this remaining 30 seconds here, they should be able to get on this point, but you have to start thinking about the rotation. TJ trying to make a play on the flank, unfortunately gets taken down.
Yeah, we know it, right? Gavutu is all about those rotations. I mean, every hill outside of maybe P2, I think based off of our stats, Carson can confirm that with me, but I believe outside of P2, every hill almost acts like a money hill, and these next two upcoming can absolutely dictate the way the score will look, as Texas will, despite a few pesky plays out of the breach, trying to make their way into the flank. OpTic will hold on to those spawns for next. As player 3 trying to sneak on through, specifically that's going to be TJ. Meanwhile, over at P1, it's a duel, one from the breach, but that's the only fight that they're going to take. A solid wave stopped early for Texas.
Yeah, and you have OpTic all spawning out towards cliffside. So they're going to start thinking about a player approaching the backside for Boston, but they're just moving so slow. They're able to set up this crossfire. TJ finds that first kill onto Scump. Nero does find the second. So now the attack's going to be from the front side. What can OpTic do? Dashy takes down the first. TJ trying to take down the both of those players, but iLLeY able to come out on top in the trade. And with 25 seconds, OpTic's still going to be spawning in the back. This is the best case scenario right now for Boston. If you can get this time, you're going to continuously spawn OpTic all the way across the map from that P5 hardpoint. That's how they get back into this game.
Yeah, right. It's the one little advantage, right, that you have, even though this spawn is so difficult, so sticky, as we like to call it in Vanguard. It can work out in your favor, even if you are attacking it. Why? Because that obviously that team is going to stay back there. You have the ability to reference on back and focus for that next hill. Farthest pushed up player is going to be iLLeY toward the top side of your map as he looks to try and work around for spawns. Off to a great start. Shout out iLLeY, man. 13 and 6. Austin with the early seconds. TJ locking down the time, but it's just a matter of moments before OpTic look to try to seize on in. That's going to be one, make it two. How about the third? Methodz the last player alive, and he gets dropped as well. OpTic break on through, and now they have got a good position with 30 seconds left.
And this is great to see out of OpTic. And one thing that I really took away from their Toronto series was just their teamwork, especially in search and destroy. You can just tell that their communication is starting to click. Right there, they put themselves in a situation. They said, hey, we're not going to attack this from front side ship. We're going to go all the way around the beach side, flip those spawns, and then eventually allow us to break in towards that P5 hard point. Those are the little adjustments that OpTic have made since the beginning of the year till now, and they've definitely shown improvements.
Yeah, without a doubt, my friend. That's the little things that you want to see, right? Coming into the major that you want to see adjusted. It's the little things. It's the little things coming into the major where those things can absolutely be exploited. We've got 50 seconds left over at P1. Let's step aside and see how the comms sound. Let's go to a listen now with OpTic Texas.
I'm hitting up. All good. He's yeah, chowed it, Nero. He's her. All good. Still P1.
Yo, one's like ship cutting.
Hold right here. Hold right here.
Yeah, ship cutting.
All good.
One's already pushing. He's pushing me rock.
Teach killed me cutting.
Do you have my chase?
Right.
You really nice.
Nice. Deep outer.
We should roll.
Yep.
Teach getting P3. Or like P5, I think.
Big one P5. I'm seeing P5. Nothing low cage.
Could be in our in.
Let's go quick. I don't see Teach. Push through.
Yeah, he's top left ship.
I don't see him. Still there. I'm going.
I'm nading it.
I don't see anything middle.
I need a top one.
Beat him in as well.
Beat him. Got one. One more teach.
Beat him.
There's a top
I'm playing my life. I'm hitting this with you. Hit ladder with me.
Yo, really weak Teach. He's other guys low cliff.
That's not check right.
One shot Teach top. Absolute. And one's low.
I'll get our top left. Yeah.
More, yeah, one's top. He's beat him actually.
I'm pitching.
Yo, one's P5 cap.
Yeah, two there. I got P5. They're off. P5 cap still somewhere? I'm gonna rock guys. One's P5. One is P5 still.
I'll see P5.
It's in absolute. Their side hill. He's like their hole. It's in their hole. One shot. Yo, we don't know where cap went.
Yo, what's their hole, guys?
Are you looking for cap this time?
He's on top right now.
I don't see him time. And one's top green behind us.
There's one more top on me.
Cap absolute P5.
Top Teach. Dead.
Nice. Yo, so good time. All good.
I have P1.
Yeah, keep one in P1, Brandon.
Yeah, I got it.
Yep. Yo, hold your beat on.
Beat on me.
I went to Ivy ladder. Nothing beat him. Yeah, I'm coming P1, Brandon. I'm coming quick, Brandon.
I'm beat him.
Pinch me P1 cap. P1 cap.
Beat on me, guys.
One and all, Nero, dead. See this guy?
There's one more beat on teach.
Yo, one was P1 cap.
P1 cap. I'll see P1.
Watch out, beat him. Watch out, beat him.
I need help.
Yo, beat him going through hole.
Yeah, I'm holding P1, guys. I need help.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm needed. Yo, he's in the back. Cap's in. One shot, absolute time. Get a good nade on it. He's absolute, brother.
I hear that.
You're gonna be in the back of me. I'm playing my life. I'm
P1
and P1. I'm coming P1.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back. And I gotta say, man, a team that's often criticized for communication, criticized for in-game leadership, all of those things, Jay, I feel like everybody was getting in the mix.
Yeah, they definitely were getting in the mix. It's just unfortunate that Boston were able to just hold down the P1 the way that they were. That's why they have the lead currently into this P3 hardpoint, but OpTic trying to do everything they can to try to stay alive. But iLLeY, unfortunately, is going to go down. So now Boston still controlling the spawns towards the backside. A lot of pressure coming in from OpTic towards the front. Shotzzy, last player farthest switched up. He's going to drop. And now with the remaining 25 seconds here, Boston should be able to continuously grow this lead.
And Texas will throw at least one more life at it. iLLeY has to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. But another big rotation. Breach will grab the seconds. Capsidal, a major 1v1 for him to take. Position made known. And Dashy's there to clean it up. So with that Breach, a nice little advantage coming into this next hard point. If a break could be successful here, we're already talking potentially about Boston guaranteeing themselves a winner's bracket spot. It's only going to take one map. It's not going to be easy. Texas are not going to give away anything as iLLeY takes down 2 off the rotation. The others now positioned over at beach. 45 valuable seconds left. It's a 2 versus 2 inside of the hill as Dashy remains stable toward the backside. He and his teammates looking great from both ends as this looks to be a full 60 unless Breach have got anything prepared. And take a look at Shotzzy. He's already thinking about next.
This has been a great hold from OpTic to potentially take the lead here with this remaining 25 seconds here. But Capsidal, a huge one-on-one, makes it a 2-piece at the old hard point. That's going to cause some problems for the players on the side of OpTic.
Look at the spawns.
But they do spawn out. You have one player who spawns red tower, a couple players who are spawning by ship, but Boston able to find another 2 in the feed. TJ in a great spot off the rotation to cause some problems. He finds 2 as well. So now Boston, they should be able to control these back spawns with number 2 working it all the way around, which is going to be Methodz, currently up by 20 points. Boston need to get the break.
They need to breach the hill. We'll see if they can live up to their name. They've got spawns. It looks to be that way as iLLeY, a great nade early on for Methodz. Trying to communicate to the team on how they want to break this. A massive hill all ready for Boston as Dashy lingering inside of green. The pistol is out. The pistol is good. And so is the teamwork. 4 straight go down for the breach. A solid looking push instantly getting thwarted from the other end. Texas will reclaim the advantage and will have the final 20 seconds go their way. It's a race now over at P1. Early fights inbound. Shotzzy falling down the cliff, but still winning the fights for 1. Nearly takes down the second. Texas with the final seconds as they'll be at around 240 after this hill goes down. A massive moment already for Boston in this game.
OpTic cannot make the same mistake that they made for the second rotation of these hard points. They were just solo challenging 1 by 1, basically gave Boston the full 60 on this point. Want to take your time, and with Shotzzy and Dashy hitting shots like that, able to open up with some initial gunfights. Methodz trying to do everything he can to stay alive here.
A huge 1v1. Methodz has to win it. Pulls out the pistol, but it gets taken down. It's all on to Nero, who does win the fight. Breach will stabilize for the moment. Aware of the Texas positionings, as that'll be 3 down to start. Scump trying to make his way around the back.
Here.
His position may in fact be known. You see TJ going for the pre-aim. Breach cannot win it. Scump drops. And while they will hold for the moment, only 3 more seconds. 3 more seconds. Texas don't win for the rotation. They decide to challenge at P1. Moments away from getting a second, but TJ staying alive. Methodz, a big 1v1 for him to take. It's he versus Scump, and Methodz will walk away with it. Shotzzy falls as well. It's all going to be onto the rotation. Breach have stayed alive, and they will win it. I thought somebody from OpTic was still alive, but no. Not going to be the case. Breach secure the game, and already the storyline that we're talking about was that they just have to win 1 map. That was it. And they've already got the job done, Jay.
Yeah, Boston, they relieve so much pressure just based off of that map number 1 victory. Now they know that they already have the winner's bracket underneath their belt. Now it's all about just, now you can just let it all go. All that stress, you're going to be on top of the world right now, knowing that you made that winner's bracket side. Now job not done. You want to try to close out this series up 1-0 in the best position they possibly could have been, because before the way that these videos went, Boston were able to be Team A in the coin flip. So that means when we get to that game 3, Gavutu Control is already in their back pocket. OpTic have yet to play that map so far in this season. But the way that Boston were able to just close out that map number 1, it came off of two great P1 holds. But before we went into the listening, it was rotating towards that P1. Boston were able to hold it for a full 60 because OpTic were just going 1 by 1 solo challenging, just giving Boston easy kills every single time. And right here towards the very end, trades were going back and forth. But then it comes down to this huge one-on-one with Dashy. He drops Scump. He gets the trade, but when Methodz, he challenges guys with the pistol, he's able to find this last kill. This forces OpTic to just go head-on, headstrong into the point. Shotzzy doesn't even check his corner. He gets team fired by Capsidal and Methodz, and that was just another great hold coming in from Boston at a P1 hardpoint. They dominated it from start to finish. That was the reason why they closed out map number 1.
Yeah, man, that hold at the end. I mean, I personally thought that OpTic had contested for long enough, but there was just 2 more seconds remaining. And Breach just like that. I mean, as we said, I mean, the pressure has got to be on this crew. I know we're talking about Zed and Dins, right? They have composed this team. They're on the edge of their seats, and now I don't want to say they relax, but they definitely ease into the rest of this series, to 100%. Put it lightly. Just a crazy moment at the end of that P1. And I gotta say, man, that's a great rebound for Breach. I mean, we've talked about this team continually. The struggles in hardpoint. They've gotten some dubs versus Paris. They win both versus New York yesterday, and they take a solid-looking hardpoint team in OpTic Texas, the distance on this map specifically. And I want to say, Jay, that's the first time that OpTic Texas have lost an opening hardpoint so far here at the qualifiers.
And that's huge because now they're going into Search and Destroy, which has not really been their best game mode. We saw them dominate Toronto in a 6-2 fashion. They made that one look easy. If they can keep up the same teamwork, the same communication that they had in that match versus Toronto, they stand a great chance of taking this versus Breach, because we saw Breach yesterday fall on Tuscan Search and Destroy all the way into 6-5 versus NYSL. Because it comes down to certain situations where Breach, they have the man advantage. Someone tries to get a little bit overzealous, tries to make a play, and it costs them in the end. You need to make sure that your teamwork is on point now that you're controlling the series already up 1-0.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird situation, right? Because we come into this series most likely thinking, okay, hey, Breach with a massive advantage. The only thing is that if we look at the prior series, Breach dropped both their search and destroys, one of those being a Tuscan, which we're getting ready to see. And Chance called it. I mean, one of the best search destroys from a teamwork perspective that we've seen all season long is what OpTic Texas did in their last game on Tuscan Search Destroy versus the Ultra. So a bit of a mixed bag here. I think if it is fair to say it, Jay, if you are OpTic, I mean, you're happy to, at the very least, despite dropping a hard point and facing off against one of the best search destroy teams in the game, you at least get another Tuscan, that of which you looked great on just days ago.
Especially when you play a hardpoint that you haven't played since the actual season has started. They still kept it fairly close. Just came down to that P1 hardpoint where Boston were able to dominate. So now you're going into a search and destroy. Like you said, off the confidence of that series versus Toronto, winning in a 6-2 fashion, a lot of that simply just came down to the work of iLLeY and Shotzzy. They were the playmakers throughout that search and destroy. I'm looking at them to have the same answer today. On the opposite side, though, it has to be Nero for me. This is a guy who's sitting underneath a 1.0 in every single category, every single game mode, and he has the potential to be the best player on this team. We saw what he was able to do on this map, specifically versus NYSL. Not afraid to take calculated risks. He needs to do that here again.
Yeah, without question. I mean, it feels like we've talked about it. iLLeY, without a doubt, the X factor for OpTic Texas. I mean, he's what? When he's going positive, the team just wins. The same thing could be said for Nero, right? I mean, he feels like he could be that player. We often talk about TJ, but if Nero can turn up the way that we know he can in Search Destroy, he's been doing it throughout his entire career, at least in regards to challengers, in regards to Search Destroy tournaments, etc. The guy's a beast, and one of the primary reasons why this team is seeing all the success that they are. Not going to be at the top of your list in regards to stats, but he's doing the dirty work, carrying that bomb for this group, and doing an excellent job of clearing out where they need him to. Solid first hard point for Nero, as you see it there, a 1.26 KD. Excellent start for the rookie. As here we go for Boston into the opening round, and then we'll start things off on attack. A mixed bag when we talk about Tuscan. It seems to be going back and forth in regards to the preferred side. Both teams still liking offenses already. Into the middle side of the map we go, and it's Nero right on cue, finding the first blood.
And Shotzzy's going to give up his life. So now Boston, they had the man advantage. And you saw on that graphic earlier on that Boston, they are #1 on offensive attack, #2 on the defensive side. But iLLeY and Dashy are able to find 2, make it a 2v2 situation.
iLLeY hunting for information. 2 players from OpTic spread out toward the field. We'll see if Cap can get some info. Meanwhile, it is Nero. They're to lay down the objective, so taking the pressure off them and now applying it toward the Texas side. It's too strong. It will join hand in hand through the field, and Cap, he's got to be ready for it. Decides to back on up. OpTic, believe they've seen him as well. Throws down the detonate just to cover his tracks.
And with 25 seconds left, he's just stalling so much time for these OpTic players to get fairly close towards this bomb. Capsidal able to get out with his life, and it's only gonna be 15 seconds left before they actually get on it.
Okay.
One player has to hop it. iLLeY's gonna be on it.
Nero's gonna come around the corner. Takes him down.
Takes him down.
All on the Dashy. 1v2, not a whole lot of time. Says goodnight to Nero, but not enough time for the defuse. I gotta say, man, Breach do a great job at really staying alive, but for the most part, Jay, OpTic Texas, they entered into the site with 18 seconds left and 2 players, that of which they did not even know clearly where they were.
Yeah, they just wasted a lot of time when they were working around the backside. When Capsidal actually throws that detonate, such a beautiful play out of him because it just stalls the players to slow down. Now they think that there's a player on our side of the map. We have to play this super slow, try to find this kill, force it to a 2v1. But Capsidal, he throws that detonate, he gets out with his life, and he basically sets up Nero to just get that player off bomb. Beautiful mid-round adjustment coming in from Breach to go from A to B in a 2v2 situation.
The rookie's showing us some stuff in the search and destroy, but now it's Dashy's turn. Taking all of that hype away. Takes down Cap for the first blood. His OpTic will move that bomb clearly over toward A. And how about the little angle for TJ to the middle side of the truck? It's got quite a few gaps, but Texas continue to win the fights. Finally, TJ can take down one, but really he's sitting in the middle of the map watching that kill feed continue to flow the opposite direction. And right whenever he realizes it, he gets taken down as well.
Yeah, so the first round, Shotzzy jumps out middle. Capsidal said, hey, I could do that too. He just gives up his life for free as Dashy was able to open up with that first blood. And then usually when OpTic finds that first blood, they find success to close out the round, able to tie the game up at 1 apiece. So now if you're OpTic, we've seen two defensive, aggressive rounds where they're just trying to attack towards the middle of the map. If I'm OpTic right here, I want to work a late flank. I'm allowing Scump and Shotzzy to be that duo on the map.
I hear you. We'll see if it happens. Texas firmly inside a church, as you would expect on a Sunday. Nero making his way through. Dashy, by the way, still 4-0. Forgot about that. Man is yet to die. Nearly sees his life flash before his eyes. The nade explodes, but still sits at flawless. Bomb planted, and the nades continue to fly out. TJ, the great shots added on with the explosives, and Nero, hungry for the engagements, decides to back on up. It's into the 3v4 retake. Now 3v3 retake for Texas.
Shotzzy, he was actually able to make a play through the middle of the map. Scump finds a second. So now you're going to scatter these players on the breach side. You definitely want to be able to check out top fire. That's usually the safety net of where a player is going to try to play this to get that player off that site. The Capsidal is just doing everything he can to stay alive. He's going to drop 15 seconds left. Methodz, they know exactly where he's going to be. He's going to get flanked, and OpTic able to execute the retake beautifully, even after getting first blood. Take the round up 2-1.
Yeah, man. I mean, shades of their series versus Ultra, no?
Yeah, definitely shades of this series versus Ultra. Besides that first round, right. So far, OpTic, the last 2 rounds have been clean.
They have been, man. They absolutely have been. So many shots coming in from Scump, as you said, just aware of Method's positioning, but it just feels like right in that last series versus Ultra, it gave you some hype. It gave you some momentum. Yeah. If you are an OpTic Texas fan, the way that they looked in that search and destroy, it's continually been the talking point around this roster, around OpTic teams of the past, has been great in respawn. Search destroy is lacking. If they pick that up, we could be looking at a roster to truly contend at the very first major. And getting in some great reps versus some solid search destroy teams. Breach, obviously high up in the rankings for now, but into our 4th round we go. OpTic on the attack, and yet for anyone to fall.
They're just taking their time. They're trying to work this pick. And iLLeY's able to find that first blood with the nade. So right there, Boston, they showed a lot of presence towards bottom church, but iLLeY's able to find 3 in the feed. Now all left up to Nero. Bomb's going to be planted. 1v3 situation. Oh, this is not going to be easy, Lando.
Yeah, not going to be easy. Dashy already gets some information on him from top fire. Nero hunting, Nero searching. Time continues to tick away. In the back of his mind, enters in for the fight toward iLLeY. 25 seconds left, and it appears that I still think somebody's going to be around this area, when in reality, not at all the case. Somebody in middle, someone right on the bomb site.
Oh.
As Nero looks around, it's not looking good, Jay. Not looking good. Around the corner. He feels like he's been everywhere but where OpTic happens to be. Finally, with 7 seconds left, he just runs right onto the bomb. He gets taken down. But how about the start once more for these Texas Search Destroy rounds? It's the nade from iLLeY to kick things off.
Yeah, that was just a beautiful round out of OpTic. Like right there, you're usually expecting when they have that much A control, you want them to put the bomb down immediately. But they were waiting out the nades from the Boston players. Once they heard at least 2 to 3 nades go off, that's when iLLeY was able to work his way towards that bomb site. Eventually, Boston, they try to attack through the middle, try to get the retake. He finds that first blood. iLLeY finds the second, and then eventually finds the third. Had himself one hell of a round right there for OpTic to now go up 3-1.
Oh, how about TJ saying hello to Bruce on the other side. Longtime teammates, longtime friends, but it is all business in this final series for both these teams. The Major 1 qualifiers, the first blood granted for Breach, and they'll find the second one as well as Methodz finally gets on the board. And how about the snipe again from Tej? Absolutely clinical with the car.
It's just clean work out of Boston, especially out of TJ. Once he finds that first blood onto Dashy, you can just tell OpTic's play call right there is like, hey, let's 4-man push through this A site. But when you're getting first blooded by a sniper, at that point you're afraid to even turn that corner. You're not going to try to get 2-piece. So they start off with the man disadvantage, and then eventually Boston set themselves up perfectly to close out that round. Now down 3-2.
And you can tell right at the start of the round, OpTic was just not ready for that sniper to come on in. Heading into that last round, Capsidal, Methodz, both with donuts. Now they've got some breadsticks, which I'm sure Chef Tony likes that much more, but already hot and heavy into the round. It is OpTic starting things off with a 2-1 trade in their favor. And now it's all going to be on to the rookies. Nero and Capsidal once more in a position to clutch a 2v3. Dashy, one man who could spot out this attack. Oof. And somehow stays alive.
Great work out of Dashy, because it could have turned into a 2v2, but if you're OpTic, I would have liked to plant the bomb immediately once he was able to find those 2 kills off the beginning of the round. But now with 50 seconds left, OpTic looking like they're going to force Boston to think that the rotation is going to come in towards this B bomb. They're just trying to delay hit this towards that A plant. And you see a couple Boston players starting to retreat. They're going to start backing down towards that B site, and this should open up that A plant soon enough for OpTic.
OpTic Texas looking to fool the rookies. We'll see if it pays off. Player 4 already getting ready to be in the engagements. He's just right around this U area. He and TJ using the same line of sight. They've got that one ready and prepared. Scump on the bomb. He's got to plant this objective down here soon. The nice slide and dive as Capsidal falls. Nero does as well. The delayed push from Texas doesn't necessarily fake out the rookies, but it gets them guessing. And with that, the 3v2 advantage will pay off for OpTic. The numbers favor them. And speaking of numbers, Dashy 8-1.
Yeah, the numbers definitely came out on top right there. For them being in that 3v2 situation, you have 2 players that are playing around that A bomb. Just in case anything happens, you were able to get the trade. But then you allow Dashy to work his way through bottom church. He finds that first kill and eventually set up the pinch to find the last kill onto Capsidal. OpTic able to respond and take that round. Now up 4-2, going back on the attack. They're going to do the same exact push, on the defensive side. And this time they're going to take middle map. Look at Shotzzy.
Oh, already inside of you, Nero. Funny enough, thinking the exact same thing that Shotzzy was. Not super confident about laying down the objective and feeling very understanding of what the play was. Texas in 3 strong through the field. They take down the bomb carrier. And they'll look to try to reorganize themselves. But I love the play from Cap. Not only is he going to watch out for that cut, but he's also leading his team potentially to go for the plant on the other side. But no, they get aggressive. Breach decide to challenge this. It's a 1-for-1 to start. Now into the 2v2. Dashy and Scump versus Capsidal and Methodz, and all 4 players are just mere moments away from engaging, and Boston will take both of those engagements.
And that's a beautiful round out of Boston to just work their way through the late flank. They kept it as a unit. They know that OpTic, they were going to be playing fairly close to each other. You want to play that trade. But once that one player in iLLeY, he finds that first kill, turns it into a 2v3, gets the immediate trade on it. Then in the 2v2 situation, OpTic are probably thinking they're going for the immediate B-bomb plant. At that point, off the rotation, they just catch them off guard. Boston are able to win the round.
It's so fun, right, Jay, to see all the mind games, because everybody knows 9 times out of 10 you're going for A, right? I mean, there's just no question about it. But how can you mix things up? How can you change things up? As she enters into this round number 8, a little dazed, and Breach 3 strong inside of P5. Big moment for Shotzzy. Is he going to be prepared for it? Somehow takes down at least 1 player, and given the interesting push, he'll take that.
So now in the 3v3, see OpTic, they just give up on that A plant. They're trying to push this through their spawn and trying to take it to B. And Methodz puts himself in a great position. Unfortunately, not able to win the gunfight. So now OpTic have the man advantage. Dashy was able to spot a player in towards mid. Time to wrap this bomb plant back towards this A site. Get it down in a 3v2 situation. But a lot of pressure for Boston towards the middle of the map.
Great shots from TJ. He'll take down the second one. All on to Dashy in the 1v1. And now, here we go. TJ versus Dashy, a massive round, a swing round at that. If you are the Boston Breach, still for that bomb. Needs to get planted if you're TJ. Time winding down. As Dashy will secure the objective. Dashy spotted him, Jay.
10 seconds left. TJ, he thinks the rotation comes back into B, so Dashy actually plays this beautifully. So now the bomb is going to be planted. TJ's not going to spot him as he does get off of that bomb site. So now it's all about playing this clock if you're Dashy. You know that TJ's probably going to expect you to play towards top fire, which is a safety net. Try to catch him at an off-guard angle.
30 seconds left. TJ, here we come. Round the corner. Time for the fight, and he will win it. TJ trusting in the process. A down-to-the-wire 1v1. Plays out Dashy and gets the better of him in that engagement. As we said, a huge round for Breach to take. And once again, it's a veteran clutching up from the Boston side.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate on the side of OpTic, because in that 3v2 situation, you still have Dashy towards top middle fire, and you're just expecting him to have everything towards the middle of the map, but he wasn't paying attention towards bottom church. That's what was the opening for the Boston Breach, to get that player off bomb, eventually find the second, and then in the 1v1 with about 15 seconds left, TJ, he's playing the sound cue. Once he hears that notification that the player has picked up bomb, he was able to get towards that A bomb site. Even though Dashy gets the bomb down, plays it beautifully on the clock to tie it up at 4 apiece.
First time in a few rounds, TJ decides to bring out the car once more. He'll take a few nades. It's going to take a lot more than that to bring good old Fat Bob down. Right into P5 we go. Shotzzy, Inco, ready to go. He and Scump look to take down Capsidal. Not a whole lot of space to move around in, as he'll get limited. Dashy does get the information, but how about these 4 strong members of OpTic lingering in through middle? It's about where they want to go, and Nero not only takes down one, but he escapes with his life. 20 seconds left.
Now to 3v3, OpTic, you have to get a step on it. But Nero's able to find another 2. Give him the ace. As Scump does find one. 2v1 situation. Scump's not going to have enough time to work the defuse, but he does take down Nero, take him off for that kill streak. But Boston able to come out on top in the round, and the guys are just saying, hey, I don't want the kill, you can have it. Nero actually gets the ace as well. Great job out of him.
Yeah, there you go. All right, cool. We'll give it on to Nero. Great plays. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun moment. Methodz and Scump just joined up in the middle of the map, just giving each other a little bit of a chat. How's it going? How's the family? By the way, you're about to explode in 3 seconds, and good night. You'll take the ace if you're Nero, but how about that clutch? I mean, as we said, a 4v3 OpTic, 4 strong in middle. They're pushed up to Breach's mid alley. But I mean, really the initial kill for Nero to find the first blood of the round, or rather the second blood of the round, and also to escape with his life. And then to find the other 2, nothing short of impressive. And take a look at that stat line from Nero. Now at 14 and 8. Breach sit on map count, as there goes TJ to start.
Early first blood coming in from OpTic. No streaks to work for on the side of the Boston. They're trying to time these names to try to take this player off site. But OpTic, they're going to delay that. Now, since they get a couple nades to be called in from the Boston Breach side, they should be able to work this bomb plant. But Methodz does find one. Shotzzy able to take down Nero. Now make it a 3v2.
Scump yet to lay down the objective. Capsidal. Coming around the corner. Thank you very much. 1v2. It's all going to have to be on the cap. He's going to have to find both. Not able to do it. The rookie drops, and just like that, Texas have got themselves in overtime.
Another round 11. What do you know? OpTic, I feel like they've always put themselves in a round 11 search and destroy, and this couldn't be a bigger situation for them to try to come out on top of. Because they're going, even whatever happens in this last round, that Gavutu Control has to be in the back of their mind for that map number 3. So here we go into the round 11. OpTic are going to be on the defensive side. Boston, so far, we saw the graphic that popped up before the map. They are #1 on offensive attack, but look at what OpTic do differently this time. They stun these guys at this A point. They allow Shotzzy to take that A bomb control.
Without a doubt, a big power position on Tuscan. Oh, Shotzzy looks to reposition. So he'll be sitting in a nice little corner in field. Meanwhile, Breach progressively make their way up to mid-map. And Nero being in the position that he is, given where the Breach players are at, they're trying to clear out P5, trying to get a little bit of information. As those OpTic arrows begin to make their way from B in the middle of the map, now over toward field. TJ could have his hands full, but again, it's another rotation for OpTic.
Right there, Boston. They're just playing for the information. TJ's able to spot Shotzzy towards this A bomb. So now, with 35 seconds left, Boston, they played this round way too slow. And OpTic, they're ready for any push. They have to try to work their way through the middle of the map. Their main focus has to be on Shotzzy, though.
Shotzzy waiting for the timing. Has the opportunity to strike. Is he going to get spotted from the player in top fire? He's still alive. He and Nero go for the challenge, but once more, Nero's able to stay alive. 13 seconds left, and that bomb has got to get planted. It's got to get secured. But Shotzzy there for the answer. A 2-for-1 to start off in favor of OpTic, and now it'll all be on to Methodz. He falls as well. The plays from Shotzzy to stay alive. Patience will pay off. And Texas once more securing search and destroy, going down to the round 11. My goodness, this OpTic team looking quite differently in this mode than where many had them coming into our Major 1 qualifiers. Solid stats across the board, and that has got to hurt if you're Nero. 14 and 10, tons of engagements, nice little few bomb plants as well, but no W in the end.
That's just great work coming in from OpTic. That game plan for that 5-5 round was beautiful. They had Dashy overextend towards that right side A bomb and just basically ego chow down the lane so he can allow Shotzzy to get pushed up towards that A bomb. Once Shotzzy puts himself in that position, you saw all of OpTic eventually back down towards that B bomb just in case Boston were going to try to catch him off guard, overextend towards that B site. But what Boston messed up tremendously on was just wasting a lot of that clock.
Yeah.
They were able to spot Shotzzy on the left side of that A bomb with about 50 to 55 seconds left. TJ definitely gives the call out to his team, but they do not approach that A bomb until there's about 25 seconds left, and they still haven't even taken care of Shotzzy. Shotzzy was the guy that made the play in that final round, worked his way on the flank, gets beautiful timing to not misfire on the bomb, and then with about 20 seconds left, gets that player off and eventually finds a second to close it out. OpTic tied the series up at 1 apiece.
Yeah, OpTic bring us now to a 1-1 scoreline. As you said, partner, it's really just a matter of how do we continue to get dicey? How do we continue to elevate the strategies when you know roughly where the opponent's going to be? As we said, patience paying off for Shotzzy as OpTic have brought this series now to a 1-1 heading. But we come back after the break. It is time for some control, and you know it's going to be on some Gavutu. Make sure and stay with us as the final day of our Major 1 qualifiers will continue after this.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the CDL. As we said, it is our final day of Major 1 qualifiers, and I've been given some information from the man himself, good old Ben J. to see. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at these numbers. All right, Jay, it looks like Texas is fourth with a match win, sixth with a loss in regards to the standings. Boston is fourth with a match win, seventh with a game 5 loss, and eighth with a 1-3 loss. What does that mean? You win and you're in a much better seed. We'll see if that really makes the overall difference. Boston trying to get out of that 8th seed, a win here in regards to, as we said, the farther they can progress, the better seeding that they will get. Nothing better than a 7th. But Texas, a match win here, gets them a 4th seed. All right, it's time. Gavutu Control, a grinder of a map. Sometimes 16-minute games. It's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy. The one thing for Texas, Jay, is that they've yet to play this.
Yeah, Texas have yet to play this all season long, even at the kickoff. Doesn't matter. They have yet to play Gavutu Control. But on the opposite side for Boston, they've played only Gavutu Control, and their record is currently 1-3, with all 3 of their losses going all the way to around number 5 and them having offense. So that tells me one thing, that they need to step up in the slaying department. 2 players on the Boston Breach side basically have identical KDs, which are Capsidal and Nero at a 0.7. You need them to step up here.
And we'll see if they can, man. I mean, what? Nero so far has been excellent. We talked about him really being the X factor, iLLeY for OpTic, and really in this series, it's going to be on to Nero to try and perform as he gets met with a nice little pistol whip from Dashy. Overall, it is Methodz who will secure those final few engagements, and now halfway to that A objective. TJ rounding the corner, and there we have it. Boston, another level of clearance at this A objective. Of course, if they do get the full capture, another minute is added to the clock. And how about that shot there from Nero?
And so far, he's been having himself one hell of a series. A 1.6 in the hard point, 14 kills in the search and destroy. And so far, starting off this game at 4-2. Unfortunately, he does get taken down. But now it's Capsidal's turn. Able to complete that second tick of progression towards this A point. Fortunately, he does get taken down. So now OpTic able to fight for mid-map control for now.
Oh, and the nice little vice grip set up if you are iLLeY. He eventually gets taken down, but you notice the ARs toward one side. It's the SMGs doing the work for Texas inside of the boat, and now outside of it, this is where things can start to get scary if you're Breach. You've got 2 ticks, but now you're locked in the back of your base. It's going to have to come from somewhere. A 2-for-1 trade favoring OpTic once more as Cap will make his way into the boat, trying to make some way for his teammates, but there is Shotzzy making some noise on the flank. He's got the automaton out, and Jay, that freaks me out, man, to see Shotzzy with an AR in his hands and beaming. The guy can truly do it all. 23 seconds left, and Cap just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, Scump and Shotzzy able to find another 2 kills in the feed. Scump finds a second onto Capsidal. So now if you're Boston, it's all about minimizing this kill deficit, as OpTic currently are leading by 8 kills. Nero does find that 2-piece though. He finds 3, so this could be with potential openings to try to get to that 8 point. With 3 seconds left, they still are going to stop the clock and just in the nick of time with .8.
We'll see if Texas looks to try to jump on in. They will not. They'll allow for this one to be granted for the Breach. You see player 7 just right around the corner. That was the player we were waiting on to see if Shotzzy went for the engagement. It'll allow for these players to rush on through and take them on down as well. 6-11 in lives. Texas, they'll be looking to play around that, and really it's a hope and a prayer if you're Boston. No progress made it be, no map control either, and really it's going to come down to one push. And over at this B objective, it is not likely that you do it in a 1 go, Jay.
It just all comes down to if they can find this opening kill towards that P1 side. You have a couple players who are working their way through the middle of the map, but OpTic, they are ready for the push. Dashy with a great line of sight, able to hit some shots onto Capsidal. Not able to find the kill, but Scump able to take down TJ. So now Scump also does find the 2-piece. No more respawns remaining. Dashy finds the kill onto Capsidal, and with 13 seconds left, OpTic should be able to walk away with the defensive win.
That felt like an angry fight, right? Methodz versus Scump. Obviously long-time friends, but as we said, this series, it's all business, baby. It's all about getting the W. Texas securing that first round, and it felt like for a moment Breach had something going. They had something brewing, but as we said, Jay, when a player makes their way up toward the beach and that vice grip starts to get set in, you win one fight, and then from there, if you're Boston, you go down 3 or 4 on that attacking end, and it can get so difficult to break out of your base. Breach learned that the hard way.
But now they're going on the defensive side. They have some kills to make up, as they did lose that previous round by 6 kills. So now OpTic doing what they need to do. Just make sure we take off this A point right off the rip. These initial gunfights mean everything. You see one player from Boston just trying to hold down that P1 side, but Capsidal gonna be the first line of defense for the Boston Breach.
Nero rounding the corner, Cap winning the fights over toward the top. As you said, the initial fight so important. Round the corner, but somehow Scump watching over for his teammate. The SMGs from Texas will secure the W's. 1 tick already in as they stack nice and early. As it's Nero from the top side. He's on 5 in a row and he's got his chance to get some streaks, but how about the up and close little engagement that he's going to suffer? Takes a gun to the face. It's going to be a new nose required for the next series. Breach do not want to give this one away, but that decision very well could be made for them as Texas win the fights again. That's a 3-for-1, nearly 4-for-1 trade.
And look at number 7 already pushed up on the map, which is going to be Shotzzy. Unable to find a kill though, but it does allow the opening for Scump to approach the backside. He gets red as well, and Boston, they hold the backside of Red Tower for the time being. OpTic have a 4 live lead, so that puts them up by 10 kills just in case it gets to that round number 5. But iLLeY and Dashy, they are beaming right now. 11 and 9 out of Shotzzy, and then Dashy at 10 and 4 on a 5, so potentially picking up some streaks.
And we've seen really Shotzzy do it with both weapons. Right? We saw him do great work, not just with the SMG, not just with the MP40, but also with the Automaton. He's leading the way into helping OpTic get over at that B objective. Dashy trying to clear the way for the squad, and this is really the issue. If you're Breach, you don't get this guy to top 3, you're going to get beamed from your spawn. Methodz going to learn that, as Capsidal has to focus all of his attention not toward the objective, but the one player who is holding on to that cut. Great map positioning for Texas. Does they'll finally pay? Can Breach finally get the pinch? Can they finally get the break? Back and forth we go. P1 successfully held somewhat from the Breach, but someone's still on the objective, as Nero's at least able to take 1 before he falls. iLLeY still keeping that B progress going. 2 players watching over him at P1.
This has been a dominant offense from OpTic. They are up by 9 lives. Keep that in mind. They won the first round by 6. And they already have 2 ticks of progression already coming in. Boston, this is their last attempt to try to break you. You have 2 players approaching towards top P1. Methodz does find 1, but OpTic is still at a point. They have to try to get on it. Shotzzy's going to cause some problems. He takes down that 1 player. Now the only player left to try to cause some to try to stop the play is going to be top brain, but OpTic are making it look easy in control. This is their best game mode. We saw a lot of their offensive wins only coming in on Tuscan, but the fact that they just dominated that offensive win on a map like Gavutu, where they haven't played it at all, it shows that this is their game mode the entire year so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe this is like the play from OpTic. It's like, yeah, we're gonna make everybody think that we don't want to play Gavutu, and then when we come on it, we're just gonna absolutely destroy you. My goodness, OpTic Texas, their very first attacking round on Gavutu, and you can count it as a W. Excellent work here for the team, and we cannot stress it enough, Jay, right? How important those attacking rounds are. Could very well set yourself up for success. Breach already with an uphill battle, not just from the end game score, but also from the kills department. Methodz at 6 and 10, more specifically TJ now at 5 and 17 as he gets taken down by Scump.
Yeah, if I'm Boston, I'm not even thinking about round 5. If we got to get the defense, I'm just trying to get a round on the board, and it all starts with getting this A point. Methodz and Nero able to find a couple kills, but iLLeY answers with 2 of his own. So now the last player in this position to try to stop this time from doing them down is going to be TJ. He does get spotted though. Boston, you see them turtling up in their base. They don't want to get put in this trap. Oh, 3 dead. It's going to be now.
I was going to say, don't want to be put in the trap, and there it is. All right, here we go, Boston. Time to gear up. Let's see how they can do this. iLLeY, my word, just even though he knows he's going to die, tries to put his body on the line, help his teammates out. At least gets the assist. Nice shots from Dashy over at the tank. TJ's at least able to find 1 for his troubles, but that is the only kill that Boston will have in that team fight, trying to turn things up. His good old TJ nearly finds 3 in a row. Nero is there for his trade. Halfway at that A objective with 35 seconds looming. Player 7 still in the base, causing problems and setting up OpTic to try and go for the retake. Scump's going to be here. He'll look to invest some time in this engagement, able to find it. And my goodness, Jay, OpTic are hitting beams right now on Gavutu.
Yeah, they're just not missing right now. They're trying to close this out in 3. And this would probably be the most dominant Gavutu Control that we've seen all year. And this is the first time that they play it. So, OpTic, what have we been doing? You better get this in every single series.
Rambo Ray,
Boston.
you hearing us? You hearing this?
Yeah.
You seeing it right now, Ray? Sender as well.
Boston are able to get on the point, though. Extend this time by a minute. Now only being down by 1 life. They're not worried about the kill department. They're just worried about getting this round win. OpTic are fully set up for the push. They have 1 player who's all the way pushed out towards that beach side. And they're just ready for anything that Boston are going to throw at them.
OpTic aware of the push. They know what the call is going to be. And how about player 6? We literally just saw him spawn right up. iLLeY taking advantage of that. Takes down to Capsidal, the sole man who will survive. Problem being is that iLLeY knows exactly where he is. Yeah, there's all kinds of foliage, many boulders. But you're not going to be able to fool good old iLLeY. Nice shots from Shotzzy again. 23 and 14, and it feels like half of his kills have come by no means with the weapon that he is common to rock on out. He can also do it with the pistol. Shotzzy can do it all. Finally taken down, but the dent has absolutely been felt as Dashy will now enter into 4 in a row. A 3 versus 10, a hope, a prayer would not even save Boston at this point, as this looks to be a 3-0 commanding victory in the Gavutu. 1 more push, prepared and ready to go. Methodz inside of the spawn as Nero is actually able to find 1, but as Nero gets taken down in the objective, it's all on the chef, Tony, and unfortunately for him, OpTic Texas have packed their lunch, and they have packed a punch on Gavutu as well, the first time they play it, and it is a 3-0 victory, now up 2-1 in the series.
Let me tell you, if OpTic are going to play Gavutu Control like that every single time, if I'm any of these other teams, I do not want to touch them on that map. Shotzzy's running their 3rd AR, putting up positive 10. That means you know that iLLeY and Dashy, they're going to do what they need to do. iLLeY, clutch kill after clutch kill every time he came off spawn, always puts himself into great positions. And when you have these ARs that are able to just beam across the map, you're allowing Shotzzy with another AR in his hand to overextend, play for some spawn kills. You can see 17 non-traded kills. He was causing havoc in the spawn of the Breeze players, and they just couldn't get their foot in the ground since the beginning of this map. This was an absolute smoke show from OpTic on map number 3 to take a commanding 2-1 lead.
Yeah, I mean, excellent plays from Texas, and this is what you get excited about, right, Jay? If you are an OpTic fan, given the fact that it's all been previously about the hard points, you know, maybe the controls from time to time, but the fact that they have been able to answer in search and destroys, walk away with control victories on top of what has already been an excellent display in hard points despite the loss in the opener here versus Breach. It was a 2-point game. I mean, this team just continually shows you that they are more complete than many previously would have thought.
They're just getting better and better every time they touch the sticks. And with a great coaching staff like Rambo, like Sender in their back of the ears, it's all about just, hey, we have the talent to do so. We just have to make sure we're sticking to the game plan and using our teamwork. Because when you have such a star-studded lineup like this, when you're putting them in a traded situation, a majority of the time, that kill is always going to get traded. When they are playing with teamwork, OpTic are one of the toughest teams to beat, and they showed it just how dominant they can be just based off of that map number 3.
And it's wild to think, right, to where OpTic were in the very first 2 series. I mean, you and I had the casts on that, right? It was back-to-back losses in game 5, round 11, one of them being a reverse sweep, versus the Royal Ravens. The fact that they've already got themselves a winner's bracket spot in their last 2 series, because both of those were 3-0s and now are 2-1 up versus Boston after losing the opening hard point, and they're coming to a map that they never played before. And arguably, it's one of the best performances that we've seen on Gavutu Control. Unbelievably excellent so far from Texas, but there is still another map guaranteed to go. It's going to be on Tuscan Hardpoint. Jay, talk to me. How do you feel about the Breach's chances on this map? And really, given how great that OpTic have looked in these last 2 maps, specifically that last respawn.
Well, Boston on one side, they are sitting at 1-0 on this map. Both of these teams are actually 1-0 in hardpoint when it comes to this mode. But just based off what we had off of that first map, the only reason why OpTic were not able to close it out was basically because of that P1 hardpoint. They were just setting a lot of solo chows, and on a map like Gavutu, it can definitely come back to bite you. But on a map like Tuscan, this is where OpTic can really shine. We've seen them dominate this map, at least in the 1 victory that they have. And the majority of that comes down to, if they're early rotating, they're able to hold down these setups. And even when they are not early rotating, on a map like Tuscan, with the submachine gun presence that they have, this is going to allow them to put a lot of pressure on when it comes to trying to break these hard points, because that's one thing that, you know, we saw out of Boston yesterday. When they played New York in both of their hard points, they were able to just win those rotation gunfights. As long as OpTic are able to stay on top of that, they're going to put themselves in a great position to close this series out.
Yeah, they without a doubt are. As we said, Texas, not often do they lose a hard point in a series, specifically 2 hard points in a series. We'll see if Breach can continue to keep up the trend. They've done it versus, they did it versus Paris. They've done it versus New York. Now let's take a look at our top performers so far. We're talking about hard points specifically, and how about this battle that is only going to elevate its importance now coming into this next Tuscan. You see the rookie good old Capsidal at a 1.15. On the opposite side, it is Shotzzy at a 1.20 KD. Some unbelievably cracked SMGs, Jay, who I cannot wait to watch now coming into this next map.
Yeah, they're basically a perfect matchup, man. It's only a 0.5 that separates these guys in KD, but when you ask what do they do on the map, what kind of pressure do they apply towards the middle of the map to allow their teammates to just go out there and slay, they both are going to do the same exact thing. Like I said, you see the map records right there. Both 1-0 for OpTic and for Boston. It just comes down to that rotation gunfights. If OpTic can stay on top of it, you see Shotzzy currently leading the pack.
Oh, goodness.
The best KD on the team, 1.13. And keep in mind, he's their fastest player on the team.
Yeah.
He's putting up insane stats with this SMG in his hand.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is wild, right? We've talked about Shotzzy for the past 2 seasons. Obviously, the MVP in the MW season is rookie year. Last year, an MVP candidate as well, and making the case so far through our Major 1 qualifiers. But here we go into our game number 4, Boston versus OpTic. It's time for Tuscan. We'll see if Breach has the ability to send us the distance, as it'll be 10 unanswered points off the start and a great beginning for Nero specifically.
Yeah, Boston spawning on the better side of this P1 hard point. Able to start off with some fire. Nero on a 4-3, making a 5. As he's trying to work towards some early streaks, and this is beautiful start to this game for Boston, because they were able to get a majority of this time towards this P1, and they flipped the spawns for P2.
Have we seen a cleaner opener on Tuscan Hardpoint?
Oh my!
I don't think we have. Nero off to an 8-0 start. Can you give him 9? Not going to be the case, but my goodness, Boston 33-0. They flipped the spawns off the rip, and they are prepared already for this next hardpoint. One of the better ones in the game is already going to be here, and in their possession is, how about the start for Nero Poison? 9-2. Scump gets taken down by a nade as the forces from Texas already limited, and Shotzzy off to an 0-4 beginning. He'll finally get on the board, but yet for OpTic to finally accrue a point, there's going to be 1. But my goodness, I mean, we got to talk about it, Jay. That opener from Breach, they are feeling fiery right now.
100%, and especially for Nero. This is a guy who's been going off ever since the series has started.
Oh,
Capsidal finds another 3 in the feed. Boston are going to focus on this remaining 25 seconds, but you have to start thinking big picture. You want to start thinking about that rotation, and Nero, unfortunately, is going to drop to iLLeY. So now OpTic able to get at least 11 seconds off of this P2 hardpoint, but they're going to be fully set up for this P3. They just have to hold this initial push that's going to come in from the roof side.
I mean, in fairness, Jay, it feels like the only player that could take down Nero at this point is, in fact,
Nero.
Yeah, it feels like that's the only guy who can really match up with him. He's looking in the mirror and he's saying, okay, let's square up, buddy. Here we go, 48-12. OpTic finally with some control. We'll see if this could just be another highlight for the Breach, as here comes the streak from the top. The glide bomb is in. Guaranteed kill onto Scump, but no, he somehow stays alive in top fire. No idea how the Jinja Ninja survives a play like that, as he will also stay alive again through the middle of that firefight. Teammates watching over, and we say goodnight to Scump. We say goodbye to TJ as well. A nice first half of this hill granted for OpTic. And this last kill looks to come on through. Last player in Methodz. Will Vent to go ahead and back on up, not to aggress this. Texas with a great regain on this hill as they get the full 60.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate for Boston. They're probably thinking at the end of that P2, hey, we have a glide bomb to work with. Let's just take our time and open up with that first kill, and then eventually play the trades. But once that doesn't find that kill, OpTic were able to hold that time down basically flawlessly and take this lead for the time being. Now you have to start thinking about that rotation. You have Shotzzy trying to flip these spawns. Capsidal able to take him down, secure the spawns for the time being for Boston towards the backside, but a lot of pressure from OpTic coming in from the front. not able to break in as Nero and TJ able to find 2.
Yeah, good work from OpTic, trying to linger in the back of the base, and it could work out for them quite nicely. Breach with the spawns. They actually do find themselves over at the column as Shotzzy now with 3 in a row, 3 straight rather, inside of the feed. As we said, Breach are close, but they are not getting anywhere near this objective without running into 4 or 5 players plus. iLLeY takes down Shotzzy, but at the very least, it is a worthy transaction in the end. Texas go from getting dominated off the start to excellent holds at our last 2 hills. They've got the advantage as now we're in at the command center. iLLeY 2 kills away from a streak. He gets taken down, and it's Breach with early time finally at a hard point. Granted, it's at command center.
Yeah, OpTic get a little bit over aggressive towards that roof side and die off the rotation, which allows Breach to fully set up, push out a couple players towards plat, but Shotzzy finds that opening kill. So now you see the pinch starting to come in from bottom fountain, starting to come in from plat side. Methodz with the unfortunate team nade. He's going to take down his teammate, and Scump able to find 2. OpTic are going to break in with a clean 3.
An excellent break once more from Texas, specifically the nice 2 coming in from Scump. Helps solidify the time. TJ tosses out the nade as he'll look to try to make a play through the bottom side of the map, but he gets found out as well. A big spot already for Breach, as we called it. They've already secured a spot for winners at the major, but they have the ability to, without a doubt, improve their seeding with the pressure on the line and with the series on the line. Let's step aside and see how the communication is sounding with Boston.
He's gonna flick. I'm beyond back church in a sec. I don't see him.
Mid's open.
You got mid? Okay.
Yeah.
I have our church bench.
I got time. Can you give mid?
I'm alone on time.
I got mid. I'm trying to watch church side time right now.
Church bench.
He's going both
church.
Nice, one little church, I think. Mid, and
Nice.
Low fire.
No, top church. He's ran down mid. I'll put him in a sec.
Dead. Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Their side.
I'm mid.
Out of block.
Enter you. I hit mid lane.
He's dead.
I'm in the corner mid lane.
I'll get mid. Give me 5. They're outer. Dashy. They're out of block.
Nice. I'm pushing up. What is out of me? Yeah. I'm gonna hit mid lane in a sec.
Yeah, he's mid lane. Hit him. Nice.
Both there. Brandon one shot.
I'm there.
I have left. Brandon other side. Good
Mushroom block.
It's
They're
good.
gonna be mid. You got mid?
I have all P5.
Yo, mid. All I have is P5. Mid's open completely. Our side, you.
They're all hitting close. Hitting to right. And when Brandon's outer. Yo, all four right. All four right.
Pick him up, you right? I spawned right.
I got a cut here.
You're gonna be top block. Oh, you got top block?
I don't know we flip. Only they know we flip.
Don't see anything green?
I got him all.
Top green, I got the timing. Top green.
Yeah, she's
He's going top trees. He's going top trees.
I knew Brandon.
Okay. He's going top church. He might cut.
In the back, Brandon.
Hand over. I'm gonna try and go top green.
In the back,
I said we cut him.
In A's, guys. Hey, Tom.
I don't see him top plat.
There's top trick.
Top green.
He's the time.
Time one shot.
I'm working
Go
top plat. Dead top plat.
Nice time.
I think he's back truck.
Back L. Weak. Enter.
Could be church alley.
Enter back L.
Watch
church alley.
Bottom church, Dashy. Low church.
Green.
Back out.
Always interested to listen in, rather, with the communication of a younger team like the Boston Breach. I mean, what, Jay? It felt like pretty fiery at the start, but you can kind of begin to feel the momentum starting to be lost moment to moment. OpTic Texas flipped the spawns, and then really from there, the Breach vibes start to get lowered a little bit, but relying heavily on those veterans, and throughout the majority of those moments, a lot of good moments being called out from the veterans there.
Yeah, Boston, they sounded great, at least initially when we first went into the listening. But when it got to about 20 seconds left on that P1 hardpoint, OpTic were able to find 3 kills and then eventually flip those spawns. So then you heard Boston start to sigh a little bit because they do not have spawns. They know they're playing from the back foot, but they respond immediately by rotating early towards this P3 hardpoint. And so far, they're able to get it clean 4 dead. Now only being down 40 points, OpTic are getting the spawn towards top roof because players are so far pushed up towards the middle of the map. OpTic are able to find 2 kills. iLLeY going for the potential break. OpTic with 30 seconds left, they can breach that 200-point mark.
Yeah, they absolutely can. So what you did there, partner, nice little pun.
Like that?
Absolutely love those. And Breach, thankfully, will be able to retake on in, so they will live up to the name, breaching back inside of the hill and securing some much-needed seconds. Not only do they need the time, but they need for OpTic to not grab a single second at that last hill. They let it go for a moment, but the retake is in, and now they're within less than 20 points from reclaiming the lead themselves. Not a great start for Methodz, as really he runs right in to the reticle from Dashy. A nice setup already for OpTic as TJ looks to make the play through the back.
Yeah, TJ's gonna have to try to go big because Dashy, he's not missing any bullets on any player. And that's gonna be top plat, but he gets red. He's gonna get taken down. Methodz trying to do everything he can from this right side of the map, but OpTic are able to break that 200, breach that 200-point mark. You see a lot of pressure from Boston though, coming in from front church, coming in from top church. OpTic gonna be able to have enough guns ready for these gunfights. They do find 3 in the feed. Last player here is going to be Capsidal.
It just feels right. It just feels like Boston continually taking down players trying to make solo plays because they have no teammate support. Finally, Capsidal lingering on the flank. Can his play finally turn into something? It appears that it won't be. A 1v1 over at church for just a few seconds, but Breach, they know they can't get that time. They have got to be prepared for new. Last time at P5, I mean, what we saw, OpTic do a great job at holding down the seconds as they're within 40. It's going to take a lot from Breach to walk away with some time in what is a very, very chaotic hard point. Back and forth we go, but it's Texas again with 3, make it nearly 4 down as Nero, a hope and a prayer, he stays alive. OpTic now within 25.
Boston are here though. Boston are here from roof side. Fortunately, Capsidal with the teammate onto TJ is going to slow down the aggression, but Capsidal on the flank, able to find all 3. And now, 30 seconds. Last player here is going to be Shotzzy towards the bottom side. Capsidal is going to commit towards the gunfight, allow his teammates to get in towards the point. Trying to pick up some streaks. It's going to be Cap. But unfortunately, he gets taken down with 20 seconds left. OpTic, they're still going to put themselves in a great position to close this game out. They can no longer win it here. But with a clean 4 dead, 15 seconds remaining, 2:49. You're almost there, pal.
Yeah, you're almost there. You're almost across the finish line. Capsidal doing everything he can to try to fuel this team as they have to hop on the objective, but Shotzzy is here. Shotzi's in the wings. He's waiting. He's prepared. 9 more points before we call this a Series W for OpTic Texas. Breach. Can they break on in the hill? Can they do anything? And it appears as if that will not be the case. OpTic Texas walk away with the victory versus Boston, a team that started off 0-2, then go on to win 3 series straight. Incredible composure and excellent work toward the stretch of our Major 1 qualifiers. OpTic Texas guaranteed themselves the 4th seed, and Boston will walk away with the 8th. A solid opportunity for Breach. They get the winner's bracket, but in the end, it's only the 1 map W as OpTic closes out in 4.
And that's the OpTic that we were expecting to see from the beginning of the year. You can just tell that their teamwork was on point. That last map, rotations were beautiful. Every time it went towards that P5 hill, they were able to get a clean 4 dead at that P4. And then you have an easy rotation every single time. And then even towards the final moments right there, when Boston were able to get in towards that P5 hard point, you already see Shotzzy. He's sitting himself in the corner at P1 just waiting for that rotation to come in. You can just tell OpTic, they had the game plan. They made sure that their teamwork was on point, especially when you're coming out and you're winning maps that you have never even played before in such a dominant fashion. Beating a team like Boston also in search and destroy. OpTic, they're getting better at search. Their control is consistent. If they can just get a little bit better at their hard point when it comes down to rotation, instead of solo challenging or just individually challenging when you're trying to break hills, OpTic are going to be one of those teams that we're going to be talking about all year long that can win a championship.
Yeah, man, it just seems that way. As we said, the consistency is starting to form. The consistency really across all modes continues to be there, and with Shotzzy hitting the way that he was, with iLLeY having the series that he was as well.
Yeah, man.
Things are looking the best they have so far throughout the season for this OpTic Texas team. And as we said, with that W, they will actually go from, what, I forget what seed that they were in coming into this match, but they will advance all the way to that 4th seed. A 3-2 record going down the way that they did. Many thought, well, this could get dire, right? This could be very scary for this OpTic Texas team, but the way that they were able to compose themselves, they get 2 3-0s and a 3-1 victory. It's impressive, to put it lightly. A great win here for the Texas side as they will walk away with the W. And really, I guess if you're Breach, I don't know, Jay, it's just kind of worrying, I guess, when it comes down to the search destroys. They continue to lose those. The controls, they come in versus a team that's yet to play it. They get 3-0'd. The hard points have looked better, but I don't know if you're looking at hard point to be the saving grace all season, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if Hardpoint's going to be their saving grace. They need to get back to their footing in search and destroy because that was their bread and butter. But when you take a look at these seeds, OpTic go from 5th to 4th. And now with Boston that go from 6th to 8th, I'm pretty sure at Major 1, they have to play Atlanta. And that's not a good matchup for Boston,
Yeah.
if you ask me.
It's not going to be a fun time at all to face off against those tiny tears. Let's go and bring back in the desk. Okay, guys, welcome back. Boston not with the W. It's Texas's turn here.
I told these guys, man. I told them OpTic Texas is going to win. They're Boston all the way, but OpTic, they're proving it once again, man. These guys are continuously getting better. Yeah. I got to start believing in them.
No, let's be completely honest for a second. OpTic going 0-2 at the beginning of the year, like, yeah, the drama was funny to a lot of people, right? But it wasn't a laughing matter once they racked up those 3 wins. Minnesota, Paris, and now Boston breach. And these aren't just them slipping by getting the wins, and these are like dominant wins. Like, they're showing like we're outright better than you now.
Yeah, I mean, even at the end of that first Gavutu, they had big opportunities to win that. Just weren't able to break on into P1. But I want to talk a little bit about that round 11 because that takes a lot of poise, right? Like, these guys took their time and did an OG, like, back in the day strat. Like, they spread the map and completely just waited for the Boston breach to make their first move and go for that bomb plant. The only player that they had really pushed up was Shotzzy, and I thought that that was just an incredible play call. Whoever was in-game leader in that round 11 making that play call, it was on the money. Shotzzy gets behind them, makes a little bit of noise. Actually didn't even pick up a kill on his first push towards the bomb. He was just annoying, and then they collapsed and ended up securing the round. That is a beautiful play call in a round 11 where a championship team has to be on point.
Exactly. aLLeY, what are your takeaways from Boston breach and also OpTic Texas? Boston, the last 2 series is pretty rough, but this is the round 11 that Nameless was talking about.
I mean, this round 11 was pretty painful to watch. Boston breach they were all just sitting mid, just waiting for some sort of information and for a pick, and it just didn't go in their favor because OpTic was basically doing the same thing. They were like, you know what, we're going to sit here, we're going to wait for the bomb to go down, we're on defense, and it didn't. I mean, the clock dwindled down and Boston had to panic. They had to plan it. But I have to talk about the hard points. I have to, Valley. I was sitting here. I am really livid with Boston breach right now because of the simple fact on that game 4, the amount of times they were in position for rotations. They had spawns in the bag. There was 1 or 2 player pushed out of position, like across the map, and they just got picked apart. Shotzzy had a free lane. He pushed through the back of church. There was a player pushed up top roof, and they lost spawns because of that. That should have been a money hill in their favor, and it happened multiple times throughout the hill, and maybe worked out one time when 3 players were pushed out mid in P3. They ended up getting all the wins on top of roof, but like
even
so many
trades
times,
weren't even going
players were pushed so far out mid away from the hill. None of them were close enough for trades, and like that was probably the most frustrating thing to watch.
No, I completely agree. So OpTic heading into their own major right now, Nameless. I mean, this is tough for the competition, man. You got to fire out Scump, iLLeY, and everybody now. The team is looking better as a whole, and this just shows that when it comes to this major, I mean, hey, this is any man's game.
Yeah, you know, after the first 2 games, they definitely were not looking championship caliber. Now they seem to have fixed a ton of their issues. I mean, back-to-back matches, the Search and Destroy has looked a lot better. They're getting tested, brought all the way to the end by an amazing Search and Destroy team. I mean, Boston breach, they were 4-0 in Search yesterday, 4-2 coming into today with a ton of reps on that map. So OpTic's looking a lot better, and I think that they are a championship threat headed into this major one.
Right, and even looking forward, aLLeY, even though we saw the hard points, it was frustrating at times. Overall, Boston still looks like a great team. So next time we'll see them will be in Texas as well. And what are your thoughts about how they're going to be?
Hopefully fix the little mistakes, man. Y'all got to regroup. You got to tell Cap to stop pushing out ult for 10 seconds across the map on these money hills, dude. Yeah. And OpTic, though, man, they were 12th in break percentage. You cannot let the 12th in break percentage team be breaking you that easily on Tuscan.
They got their 1 map, though. They just had to win 1 map to make it.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So the goal was accomplished, all right? So we'll see the improvements they make going into the major.
Yeah, so aLLeY, let me ask you about OpTic. I've asked Nameless a lot. So OpTic, what are the things that you look forward to seeing from them when it comes to their own major?
I mean, it has to be the improvement, right? It's going to be like a home field advantage. Everybody's going to be showing up and cheering for them in the heart of Texas. And they didn't have the best showing at Kickoff Classic. They haven't had the best showing at the start, but now they've won 3 matches in a row.
That's what matters.
They are doing nothing but continuously on an incline to get better. They've proven that 1 Series 3-0 was not a fluke against Toronto Ultra, and now heading into the major, they're in a great position.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for OpTic, when you look at them going into the major, they have to get better at the AR maps when it comes to hardpoint. We've seen them, they're 0-2 on Berlin hardpoint, and they're also now 0-1 on Gavutu hardpoint. Granted, it was still very close. Yeah. I think it just has to do with the AR play on OpTic Texas. We're seeing iLLeY and Dashy have these big performances, but who's going to be the third guy to pull out that AR when it comes to Gavutu? We got to see Scump or Shotzzy. One of them's just going to have to do it. We saw Simp do it for FaZe, and they started to win that map. Yeah. And when it comes to Berlin, maybe now that iLLeY's having more consistent gameplay, they can add that map back into the rotation. So it seems like they're playing around with their vetoes. Now maybe they're getting rid of Berlin, trying out Gavutu, so they're getting ready for it, right? But it has to be on point when major comes, because they're going to be playing these teams that are going to test their map pool, that are going to be good at Bocage and good at Tuscan, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to get away with just winning those maps every series. So that's the one question I still have about them.
One thing I will say, in that series, whenever Dashy's on, he just absolutely melts everybody.
He was fine.
Yeah, no, definitely. But speaking of which, we actually have our Game Fuel post-victory spotlight interview with the one and only Dashy. Let's get him on screen. Dashy, congratulations on the win, man. What's going on, Dashy? I have to say, man, it has to be a big sigh of relief that you guys have been on the tear lately, going 0-2 to start the year, and now 3-0. I mean, how happy are you with your team's success?
Yeah, I'm just super proud of us. Obviously, had a rough start. That wasn't ideal at all, but turned it around, and I'm just super happy that we showed a lot of resilience in doing that.
Dashy, man, congratulations on the win, but when are you going to give the people what they want? When are you going to pull out a sniper on Search and Destroy? Dude, I know everybody's raring for it.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Sniper is just not it in this game. It's just,
okay.
It's 4 years to aim in, and then you get shot at once, and it goes to the sky. So I don't know if the sniper is going to be used often, but it's definitely situational, so we have to wait for the right moment.
That's
like
a shame to hear. I want to
That
see
is,
the
dude.
sniper.
Right.
Dashy, first, congratulations on the win, and then shooting up, obviously, in the ladder going into Major 1. I want to ask you, what's the primary focus going forward into Major 1? What are you guys going to be really honing in on to get that championship?
Obviously, we want to keep having great practice. That's probably priority number one. And probably just cleaning up a few things in our hardpoint right now. It's especially on Gav and Berlin, I believe.
Yeah.
I think both those maps, but just a couple of rotational fixes, and I think we're solved.
Sweet.
All right, sounds good. All right, Dashy, thank you so much for the interview so far. Now, it was a good, big win. Last question I want to ask you, heading into the OpTic Texas Major, what is one team that you really look forward to playing out there, and why?
One team. I mean, I don't want to put it past anyone.
You can name them all, man.
Oh, yeah, it's just all of them. All of them. Competitive league.
All right, man. We'll catch you over there in Texas, and you have a great day, all right?
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. All right, so that's pretty much it. We heard it from Dashy himself. Hopefully we see him with a sniper rifle in his hand soon. But coming up next, we have an absolute banger. The Game Fuel marquee matchup of the day will be what? York Subliners versus Atlanta. Okay.
This is potentially a bloodbath, bro.
I like New York. I like New York, man. Okay, but I will say this. That's going to be a good game to see if New York can prove themselves against the best in the CDL right now. Atlanta FaZe has been a team that dominated last year. Esports Team of the Year, by the way. And we're going to see if they can continue their dominance against a team that's trying to rise up in the rankings. So on the other side of the break, we'll catch you for our last series of the day. We'll see you soon.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Zenny Gaming. Armor your eyes with Block's gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL.
Welcome back to the CDL Analyst Desk. I'm aBeZy, this is aLLeY, and also Nameless. But heading into this year, especially the Kickoff Classic, we saw the Atlanta FaZe fall early in. Kind of like last year, people were wondering, how are they going to be when the season starts? So far, Atlanta FaZe are #1 in the CDL, and they're not slowing down anytime soon. But they'll be facing off against the New York Subliners, a team that are looking to work their way up the rankings. But aLLeY, when it comes to Atlanta, I mean, they're just dominant. They're the best. They're great, every single one of them.
There's almost only so much you can say about this squad, right?
Yeah.
Again, we said it earlier in pre-show. It's just a continuation of all the great things that they have accomplished as a team. If you want to nitpick, maybe clean up a couple of rotations, maybe trust each other a little more, as Alec was saying. He's making some play calls and the boys are just not listening to him. But over and all, I mean, it's Atlanta FaZe. They were dominant last year and they're looking to do a repeat this year.
Now, Nameless, when it comes to the game field keys to victory, I mean, Atlanta knows better than we do. But when it comes to numbers, what are a few things that they could work on?
I mean, Atlanta FaZe, this is unbelievable. Game field keys to victory, lock down the hard points. NYSL is winless through 7 hardpoint maps this season. For Atlanta FaZe, a team that's sitting at 5-2 in hardpoint, they should be okay there. Cellium continued player of the major form. 1.35 KD this season so far, #1 overall. For me, it was like a race between him and Sib, and he's just completely taken over. Cellium is just dominant in that role. He's having an MVP year so far. And then keep things simple versus a bad slaying team. Atlanta's #1 overall team KD. NYSL is last, 12th out of 12. So obviously this is a very lopsided match. If Atlanta FaZe just come in here, really New York, they just look good in search and destroy yesterday, right? So I think Atlanta come here, take it extremely serious, try to go, 5-0, win every single match here, and don't joke around when it comes to search and destroys, because clearly New York is a threat there.
Well, New York is a threat in search and destroy, but we can't forget who's in this lobby right now. We got
very true, though.
Yeah, no, seriously. Players like Simp have dominated that when it comes to the scene for a while now. But the game field player to watch is definitely going to be Cellium. He's a guy who has dominated when it comes to non-traded kills and just dominating leaderboards all around, aLLeY.
I completely agree. His non-traded kill percentage, I believe, is over 70%, if I'm correct. And as it shows on your screen, positive KD overall. Search and destroy is a 2.28 KD. That is literally the most mind-blowing thing I have ever seen on the professional level. Cellium has yet to be shut down.
Yeah, so talking about search and destroy, yeah, New York, they're going to have it out for him right now. And there goes the guy right there, Cellium, leading the league in KD in just about every single category out there. But you know what? They're going to be facing off against New York Subliners, a team with a little chip on their shoulder. They made a recent team change. We've been talking about it since last week. But right now, they're looking to continue their win streak. They finally got their first win. And aLLeY, it's safe to say that I like what I see from them so far.
You know what? New York is climbing out of the trenches right now. They are literally tooth and nail pulling themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves at the beginning of the season, and now heading into Major 1, coming off a hot win to a Game 5. I do have to say, man, they got blundered in the hard points, and they got away with the 2 searches and the control, and that's going to be really difficult against a team like Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah, and Royalty coming into the mix, I want to see them get more comfortable, especially as their submachine gun player replacing Neptune. And the thing is, one player that's been popping off like crazy is Hydra. But aLLeY, when it comes to the game field keys of victory, what does New York have to do?
Well, Hydra needs to continue the hot slaying this weekend. He is 1.21 in the series versus Boston yesterday. We also got to look at Crim for that as well. And the big question now has to really be Royalty. He has to bring more slaying and tough SMG battle. He has a 0.74 KD so far this season, and that is just not going to fly against the likes of Simp and aBeZy, in argument as being the best sub players in a very, very long time. And of course, rotation wins critical to finding success at hardpoint. 11th in rotation win percentage. My biggest gripe yesterday when it came to New York Subliners in the hardpoints is they left a lot of time uncapped, actually. It felt like they were in control of the situation, but nobody was getting time on the hills. So maybe a communication communication error there, but we talked to Krim yesterday, and he definitely said that they know what they're doing wrong, so hopefully we see a quick turnaround today.
I will say this about this matchup, Nameless. When it comes to both of these teams playing each other, I'm not looking for New York Subliners to walk away with a big victory over Atlanta FaZe. What I'm looking for right now are just momentary victories. I want to see them do better in hardpoint.
Absolutely.
Fun game modes.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple